Okay, let's try this again. Hey everyone, it's Paula. Welcome back to my channel, Stitching in High Heels. Channel where I talk about all things cross-stitch. And if I'm participating in any other crafty endeavors, you'll find information here about that as well. I'd like to say welcome back to my regular viewers. I'm glad you're here. Thank you for being patient. I had all intentions of being back here quite a bit earlier, but life just happened, and I'm sure you guys know how that all goes. And if you're new here, I'm glad you stopped by. I know this is a time of year where a lot of us share what we call WIP parades, or show all of the things we currently have in progress. If you're not familiar, WIP is shortened an abbreviation for work in progress, or a piece that we're still stitching on. Took me a while to get everything together, and I was initially going to do this as a YouTube extra, or FlossTube extra, but I totally fell down on any kind of record keeping, and I honestly can't tell you exactly which projects I worked on since we visited together last. So we'll just jump in. We'll do a WIP parade, and in a couple days I hope to have a video of some very loose plans. I'm participating in WIP Go. I'm a member of the WIP Warriors Facebook group, so I'll be participating in their challenges and everything. So I'll talk about that a little bit. And in addition, I will show you some of the things that I'm really looking forward to starting that have talked to me, been calling to me quite loudly. So watch for that in a couple days, and then we'll hopefully get back into a regular schedule. I'm going to try to do every 2 weeks. And also thought I might play around with a vlog style video every once in a while. Maybe that might be an easier way to go once in a while. So without further ado, we do have some old business. I have not forgotten. I have 2 sets of counting pins that I had offered to share with 2 viewers. And just a reminder, there they are right there. They're pins that I made and forgot to take with me to the Queen City Stitch Retreat. So I will share them with a couple of viewers. And I asked that you use, if you wanted the silver set, you use the word silver in a comment, and if you wanted the gold set, to use the word gold. And I used a random comment picker. And for the silver set, which are these 2 here, those 2 right there, the random comment picker chose Hannah, the Okie Stitcher. Congratulations, Hannah. And her comment said, "I'm glad your surgery went well and that you are healing nicely. The retreat sounds like so much fun, and it's amazing that you got the designer's signature on your gorgeous finish. Happy Thanksgiving. Silver and gold decorations on every Christmas tree." And here's just a quick screenshot of that. It was a printout from the screenshot on my camera of my laptop screen. So it's still got a glare, but it was easier to share than trying to share my phone screen. And then for the gold set, which these 2 right here, they're a little bit shorter, and they're just as pretty. I like both sets. So Hilltop Stitching is the winner of that. She says, "I've never been to a retreat. Sounds like so much fun. Beautiful stitching on Father Winter, and I enjoy Pam and Steph's gold and silver segment." So I will include my Instagram and my email down below, Hannah and Hilltop Stitching. If you would reach out to me, either direct message on Instagram or an email to my email, stitchinginhighheels@gmail.com, I will get these out to you as quickly as possible. Should definitely not take as long as it took me to get another video up. I apologize about that. So that's what we have for old business, and like I said, I couldn't tell you for sure anything that I really worked on since we were together last, so let's just jump into sorry, just getting a little bit more organized here, jump into the WIP Parade and the showing of, I feel like almost like it's a Festivus thing. Instead of airing of the grievances, the showing of the works. So if I look to the side here, I have notes written down about my flosses, fabric count, fabric name, and all that kind of stuff. And these are in no particular order. Some of these I honestly don't remember when I started them. And even if I did have an idea of what the year was, I wouldn't know what month. I wasn't really a record keeper. I was just definitely a swee-wee stitcher when I did this. And quite frankly, I thought I had reduced my number of WIPs this year, and I found out that that is not the case. I did have some finishes, which I showed during the year, but I also started new things. And it is what it is, right? And the biggest thing is that I enjoy working on what I have. So my grand total of projects is 32. And out of those 32, I think probably most of them were with me last year. I think I only have 2 or 3 starts that are from last year or the beginning of January. And of those, I touched everyone except 4. So I think that's really good. And the 4 that I didn't touch, they had been called after I kind of fell down on the job with WIP Go. I did WIP Go last year, and I did really well until I wanted to do until I went on vacation and then wanted to do some secret stitching for the Queen City Stitch Retreat, and I kind of lost complete traction with WIP Go. But that's fine, and I'm doing it again because I definitely, I touched 20-some projects last year, so that I think is fantastic. And I don't have projects that are just sitting around not being touched. So, as I said, in no particular order, and I will glance at my notes occasionally. The first piece I have is Heirloom Nativity by Victoria Sampler, and the copyright on this is 2007, and here's the whole chart. It's a long, narrow one, like so many of Thea's are. And like I said, the copyright on this is 2007, and I'm not sure when I started it, but I suspect that I started it not all that long after it was released. And I'm stitching it on the recommended 28 count Smoky Pearl Cashel linen, and it's on a Q-snap because I have been working on it recently. And so we'll just show it this way. And here's what I have. So I finished, let's get this up over the top here. Okay. So I finished the top where the angels are, and then the next, and then some of those specialty stitches, and then the section which are the shepherds, and what I'm working on now is the wise men. And once I finish this section, I'll be just a little bit over half finished. And I'm not sure why I put it down when I put it down, but I've been really enjoying stitching on it, so I'll definitely be picking it back up again if it fits in some categories for like scattergories in the WIP Warriors, or other prompts for WIP Warriors, or something that Laura Stitching by the Shore is doing with her I Spy challenge every month. And then next up is the Loose Feathers designs from Blackbird. And hold on one second. I think I'm going to fix my light here. That works better. When I showed the chart for the Victoria Sampler, it seemed pretty dark. So I'm sure you guys have seen this. This is from like 2011, and lots of folks have stitched this. But it's 3 seasons, and this is what it'll look like when it's finished. Sorry for that little bit of glare there. So I finished summer, if you remember correctly, if you've been with me for a while. I finished summer right around the end of summer, early September. And I moved on to the autumn section, which is the middle section. And here's where I'm at. Just move this over just a little bit. So I'm using all the called for colors, and it's 2/2, there we go, on 28 count Lugana in the colorway Antique Lace by Seraphim Fabrics. So, and I got a pretty decent chunk done on the autumn section. I've got a little, above those pumpkins there's a house and a couple other, I think they're fruit trees. So, but the big bird is done, and there's another smaller bird. But I did make good progress. I'm really happy with where I'm at. And this is one that comes out fairly frequently. It's a good one for prompts because it's got the alphabet on it. So if I need a particular letter, it could be a good one to pick up for that. So, and I'm going to talk about these, but I'm trying not to take too long to talk about them because with 32 projects, I really don't want this to be super long. It's going to be one of my longer videos anyway. So we'll try to move along through it. So this is my 2024 temperature stitch. You can see exactly how far I got. This was designed by Fox Rabbit for their Patreon. They released it actually in 2023 and then did an updated version for 2024 because of leap year. So I'm on January. So I'm up to almost the end of January there, and you can see that. So what I'm doing is the drops for the hearts. I don't know if you can tell that some of them are sparkly. Some of them are just in DMC 939. Some of them are in acrylic. And if there was, if there was precipitation during the day, that drop is in the acrylic, so it's shiny. And then I'm using the same scale, but the bows of the hearts represent the low temperatures, and the hearts themselves represent the high temperature for the day. And I use Weather Underground, and there's a weather station fairly close to me, and I use their data. I can get historical data, go back, and I'm a little lopsided here, and can do that way. I'm doing that over on 32 count vintage, 32 count Stormy Clouds Belfast by Zweigart. It's a standard color, but it's one of their printed fabrics, so the back is white. Got a little bit of gray modeling, cloudy. Thought that was appropriate for a temperature stitch. And I'm using all DMC colors. And if you want to know how I assign my color ranges, for my temperatures here, I started at 0 or anything below 0 and went up to, I think, 95, because that's generally, and anything above 95 will be in that same color. That's generally a decent range for our temperatures. But if you want to know how I allocated them out, definitely, and which colors I'm using, definitely leave me a comment below. I'll be happy to share that with you. I started with what Fox and Rabbit suggested, and then expanded and tweaked it a little bit for what the temperatures are where I am. So next up is Christmas at Hawk Run Hollow. I'm sure you guys have seen this, and I apologize for the glare. I started this in 2023 because Pam from Stitching in the Land of Good Enough, she was doing a year at Hawk Run Hollow, and she wanted to get it finished, and she started a monthly Zoom, and I thought that was a great excuse to get this out and start it. I'm doing mine 1/1 on 20 count, I think it's Oatmeal Ada. It is a Witchell Ada, and it's stiffer than the standard Zweigart colors. But I'll keep going on it. I like that first block, and I don't have a good way to cut it off and finish it. So I'm on the second block. Haven't made a lot of progress, but looking forward to working on it tonight. Pam's got another Zoom coming up. I forgot to say today is January 11th. It's Sunday, and it's about 3:30 here in New York State. So I'm stitching this, like I said, 1/1 on 20 count Ada, and I'm using the DMC conversion provided by Kathy Barrick of Carriage. At the time this was designed, Kathy Barrick was designing under the Carriage House Samplings design label. So hope to see quite a bit more progress on that this year. So, and I apologize for the zippers, but I don't want things falling out of their project bags. So next up is Winter Rose Manor, And you know what? I forgot the cover of the chart for this. I'm sure you guys have seen it. Lots of folks have been stitching on it. It's got the big pink house. And I'm stitching this 1/1 on 18 count Shale Ada by Picture This Plus. So during the year I finished all of that pink color in the house and the roof, and I'm working on the windows. So I had this out not too long ago, and this will see some progress this month for a WIP Warriors call. And I'm using all the called for threads on this. I kept the house the color conch. I thought it worked well with my fabric, and I like the modeled way it's stitched up. I know some folks have changed the pink color. But what I am changing is the roasted marshmallow that was called for. Is very yellow, and it's used for not just the basket and the picket fence, but it's used for snow, and I just didn't want yellowish snow. So I'm using grits. I forget if it's Weeks or Gel Art, but I'm subbing that out for grits, which is a whiter color. And I think I started that, I didn't make a note of when I started it, and that's by Brenda Gervais with Thy Needle and Thread. And next up, this has been a popular one this year too. I know Memphis Sarah E. finished this one. I know, and Pam from Stitching in the Land of Good Enough got hers back from the framer, and she was my inspiration for starting this. And so here is Sir Thomas by Glendon Place. And he is so much fun to stitch. I am stitching him with all of the called for fabric, fibers, and beads. You can get fiber packs and bead packs. I got mine at from Carla at Cobweb Stitching, Cobweb Crafting, Cobweb. Anyway, I got mine from Carla, and I am using 28 count China Pearl Jovelin, and the called for cotton threads are Sullivan's. I'm using them, and there's a lot of Rainbow Gallery fibers in there. He's very, very sparkly. I'm not sure if you can see that, but there he is. And I made good progress on him this year. I pulled him out in November. I got all of this done here. His legs will be down here. When I picked him up, I had just this bit here done. So very happy with my progress on that. And once I got into a groove with him, he also stitched up pretty quickly. So it'll be fun to get him out again before the end of the year. Now I have, hopefully I can show this to you without too much glare. This is Aurora Borealis. It's a Mill Hill button and beads kit. There we go. Has glow-in-the-dark beads, and it's stitched on 14 count perforated paper. I am using all of the kit materials because that's part of what I love about these kits. You do have to sort the thread, but you know, everything's right there, and it's easy to pick it up and go. They even come with needles for beading and stitching. And here's where I'm at. You can see it's on a purple perforated paper, 14 count, 2 strands of DMC over 2. I started this in October. We had a couple nights where we could see the Aurora Borealis here, and actually I may have started this beginning of November, but I started this while I was having to stay off my foot because of the foot surgery that I had, and I had sorted all the threads and everything ahead of time, but it was just lots of block stitching in this one. It didn't take a whole lot of concentration and counting, so it was a great piece to have while I wasn't feeling 1000%. And so I use project bags, right? I got dog hair. Those of you who don't know, I have 2 Australian Shepherds and a Border Collie, so pet hair abounds in our house, no matter what we do. Next piece is On the 12th Day by Cat's Whiskers Designs. And you could do this as all one piece, which is what I'm doing, or you could do them as individual ornament pieces. I am using a combination of Weeks Dye Works Bethlehem, which is very variegated floss, and I also am using some DMC solid colors, and I will show you where and why. This is a 32 count antique, opalescent antique white, just a standard Zweigart color. And here's where I'm at with this. So it's 2/2, except for the words on the top, which were 1/1. And you can see, so this fabric here, that's the Bethlehem. And you can see how very variegated that is. And I got thinking, these alternating blocks that are almost a CC work style, I thought it was going to be just too busy with that very variegated thread with all the different colors in it. Because if you look at the border around this square here, if you look at that border, you can see how quickly the colors change. So I picked 3 or 4 DMC colors, and all of these blocks that you see that are more solidly stitched, I'm going to use the solid colors on them. I'll do the border in the variegated floss and then use the solid colors for stitching in. I picked, let me see, I picked a green and that kind of raspberry color and DMC 550. Yeah, the green I picked, not sure if I'm going to use 521 or 522. And then the color that I had already stitched with is DMC 34, and I've got DMC 550, which is that gorgeous deep purple. So that's what I'll be doing with that. Hopefully now that I've made that decision, when this comes up, it'll go a little more quickly. I spent a lot of time thinking about what I wanted to do, and I really, as much as I love the colors in that Weeks Dye Works thread, I knew it wasn't going to work the way I really wanted it to work when I got into stitching those heavily stitched blocks. And this is another Mill Hill kit. This is a Jim Shore snowman, and I forget what year these came out, but I had the whole series. So there's a snowman, there's Santa, there's a reindeer, and a Christmas tree. Of course, I've got my contacts in, don't have my reading glasses, so I can't see if there's a copyright date on the cover. But here's the cover of the package. And he's been in my oh-so-fancy project bag, which is a 2-gallon Ziploc bag, as you can see, for quite a while. I've had him in various laptop bags and such as a piece to work on, almost like a travel piece, or if I got stuck somewhere waiting for something and didn't have anything else to do. And as a result, he wasn't getting a lot of work. I got bogged down in stitching the snowman's body, and it kind of, you know how that goes, and then you kind of don't want to work on it at all. But I picked it back up, got past the part that was bothering me, and you can see I've moved on and getting to the background. So there's lots of beads that have to go on them yet. I'm just doing the stitching. But so far this background to fill out the square has been on. So I'm thinking I may turn him into a snow day project, so to pull him out when it snows for this year, just to make sure he gets some consistent work going forward. And then, so I've got a basket, a stack of plastic project cases, and 2 bags here. So we're at the end of the basket. This is the last project in the basket. So we're moving right along. And this is Blessings Be Thine by Blackbird Designs, and this is going to be my blessing sampler. So for those of you who may not be familiar, a blessing sampler is a piece that you start in the month of January on New Year's Day, and if you finish it, the theory is that you try to finish it by the end of the month of January, and then you have have blessings on your stitching and good luck. So here's what the full piece looks like. And the more I was working on this, the more I realized, so I started in the middle, which has me in that little viney, wreathy section, which I love. But the more I got looking at this, I really don't like, and I don't know why, but I'm not a fan of these two motifs over here. And I've got lots of pieces with alphabets on them, so I wasn't sure I really wanted to stitch that. And this is a pretty piece, but I could do that as an ornament. So I'm making some adjustments. I'm going to make it smaller. I'm going to leave off the alphabet. And then I've done a little bit of charting to rearrange where the year numbers are. And I'm going to move this reindeer over and have him as part of my piece. And I'm going to stitch in another star. Another reason that I'm thinking that I'm going to adjust this is that I'm using a piece of fabric that I got from JJ's Collectibles when they were going out of, I believe it was JJ's Collectibles, I got from a sale when they were going out of business, I believe. If I'm wrong about that, I apologize. But anyway, I got a piece of fabric, and it was in my stash, and it was labeled from the shop that I got it from. It was labeled to be a fat quarter of 32 count light mocha Belfast. So I'm sure the color is light mocha. I'm sure that's good. I've got a hanging thread here, and I apologize for that. But I'm not sure it's 32 count. I'm thinking it might be 28 count, which would make me really tight on margins if I did the whole piece, although I do still think it would fit. But I didn't, before I jumped in and started stitching, I did not double check my count, so that's on me. But just a quick word to the wise, if you have fabric, you might want to, especially if it's from a, you've had it for a while, you may want to just double check your count and sizing, because this piece was a fat eighth, not a fat quarter. I don't think I cut anything off of it. But so here's where I'm at. I got that wreath done with the holly leaves and the branches, and there'll be some flowers up here that I have to work on, and I started on the wording. I also have, it's a little ghosty, but I'm good with that. I'm not sure you can see it. There's a white star there. And I'm using all of the called for floss, which are Gentle Arts, Weeks Dye Works Havana is the brown, and then the rest are Gentle Arts. But it called for a color called Oatmeal, was the light color. And I didn't have that, but I did have a skein of oatmeal scone in the, it's a silk, and it is, let's see, make sure the color name, yeah, so it's Belle Soie, and it's oatmeal scone, and like I said, it is a little ghosty, but I don't mind that. I like how it looks on the fabric in real life, so I just subbed that in, and that is that. So hopefully, by the next time we are together, I'll be showing you a finish on that one. And then I don't have the cover picture for this. This is an ornament. It was one of my WIP Go calls. So this is, let me get the name right, Perfect Gifts, and it's by Full Circle Designs. It was in one of the Just Cross Stitch ornament issues. So I need to stitch the word love and the word joy on the top two boxes. There's a little back stitching detail. The stitching I have left to do is in Krynic. And then there's some metallic swirls on the side, and there's some ribbon type floss on the top that makes a bow. And this is stitched with the recommended DMC conversion, 1 thread over 2 on 40 count new khaki Newcastle linen. And this is another one of those that I had been able to get an ornament cut for, and it was an opportunity to try 40 count. And I'm not sure, it might have been the 2005 Just Cross Stitch ornament issue. I'm not completely positive. I can look it up. If you want to know, leave me a comment. I can certainly let you know. All right, and now we're on to, so that was number 11. We're not quite halfway there yet. So next up is Father Winter by Teresa Wentzler. And I did show this when I stitched on it. Here's the cover art for that. And I'm making some changes to this one too. The more I look at it, I'm going to leave these outer borders off. I don't hate them, but I don't particularly like them. And I'm going to, so I'm going to stitch the deer, this big wreath. I'm going to stitch this block down here, but I think there's enough room that I can rechart, and instead of doing a straight alphabet, I can do the words Merry Christmas and the date. I think I can get that in there using the same font, but I thought that would be kind of fun. And I got this as a kit. The copyright date on this is 1992. I'm not sure I started it that long ago, but it's possible. And here's where I'm at. So I've got Santa, pretty much Santa's lap done. I've got a couple of the animals done. I stitched mostly on the trees the last time I stitched, and the blue in his robe. And I really like how that came out and how it's looking. So, and that was another one. I'm not sure exactly why I put it down or what bogged me down in working on it, but I picked it back up. I also highly recommend, so this is one that you can get on patternsonline.com, and I think that's part of what helped me with this, is that those charts are not hand-drawn. They've been updated with computer-printed fonts and symbols, and if you've stitched Teresa Wentzler's before, and have been stitching long enough, you remember when all of the charts were hand-drawn, and sometimes that can be a bit of a challenge. So, like I said, this is one that is available on Patterns Online, and it was a big help to me when I was able to use that chart. Next up is Edith Wolford from The Silver Lining. And this isn't the actual cover, this is a copy of the cover, but there she is. She is an iris. And I've stitched a couple of Mark Sostad's roses and really enjoyed them. And I know that part of why I picked this one up, copyright on this one is 1999. And I think I may have picked this one up and started it at that point. But I do know that part of why I picked her up is because I wanted to see the colors that he used to create these purples and blues, because Mark's pieces are great pieces for stitching with a color and going, I don't know how that's going to work. And then when you pull the piece back when you're done, the colors are just fantastic. So this is 2/2 using the called for DMC on 32 count antique white Belfast linen, just a plain antique white. And when I stitched on it this year, I stitched a lot of this down in here, that particular purple. So, this one, this is one that I'm going to say this about several of these. I'm not sure why I put it down, and it was good to pick it up. Another Teresa Wentzler is next on the list, and this is Holly and Ivy sampler. And this is one of her later designs. I don't have the copyright date on this one, but it was when she was publishing her own designs, because you can see it's the TW Design Works logo. And that's where it is. It's the words from the Christmas Carol. And I am stitching this 2/2 on a piece of, it's a mint green Jobelin, and I don't remember the color name, but I can tell you that it was out of, I bought the last piece that the shop had, and it was, they were no longer making it when I bought this, and I bought it at the same time I bought the chart, so back 1999, 2000-ish. And that's where I'm at on this. I did touch it this year. I worked on that gold border some more. I think I figured out a way to kind of keep track of where I am on that border. There's going to be a ton of back stitching in those holly leaves and ribbons. And I did want to say this piece is a very, I'm going to reinforce a caution that someone else gave. Actually, I think it was on Laura Stitching by the Shore on her Facebook group. This piece was not cut straight. It's going to be fine because I started at the wider top and it's got that pendant shape. And I have plenty, and I'll have plenty of room for framing it if that's what I choose to do. But just, you know, be sure as you're buying fabric or if you're starting to stitch that your edges are straight, especially if you're working with smaller margins. This is Siam Fusion by Sampler Cove, and the copyright on this one was 2008. You can see the cover has, this is still an actual photograph of the pieces. And the chart comes with two pieces, a smaller band sampler and a motif sampler, which is this bigger one. And of course that's the one I'm doing because that's how I roll. The bigger the piece, the better. The chart called, the recommended fabric was a black cashel, and instead of black I'm doing mine on charcoal. It's just a little bit lighter, a little bit easier to see, and those colors are blowing out a little bit, but I'm using all of the recommended silks, which are all Caron Collection Soie Cristal. And that's where I got to on this. I got some good progress in this. I started this one, and right before I had started with a fairly difficult time in my life, and I put it down because I had started it on a day that was pretty emotional, and didn't want to pick it up for a long time. So I'm happy to be back working on it. It does work up well, and that the charcoal is very nice to work with. Well, we're on to page 2, and this piece will be the halfway point here. So this is Day Surrendering Tonight, artwork by Sheila Wolk, and it's charted by Diane Allaire of Custom Crafts. So there's that. And this is one of the 4 pieces that I did not touch this year. So there it is. Let's see. I love the design, and I started it, it's full coverage, and I started it here. I'm doing it on 28 count 2/2, and I started in the top right, and you can see I did start getting down into the nighttime angel's wings. And this piece has had quite an adventure. I lost the chart for a while that I can't find the thread box with my threads in it. I will get back to it. I've considered restarting it because I don't have all that much done, and restarting it on maybe a 25 count over 1 or a 22 count. But I have a feeling I'm going to stick with that. I don't care if it's big, but I'll stick with that and put some more work in on it. And it's DMC 2/2, so I mean I can pull new skeins. I don't necessarily, need the floss box that those are in. Sorry about that, my throat's getting dry. Okay, so next up is the Toys and Games stocking, and this is from Better Homes and book. Heirloom Christmas Stockings and Cross Stitch by Better Homes and Gardens. There's the book. The charts were also individually published in one of the stitching magazines, and I don't remember which one. And doesn't say. But here again, this is the book, the name of the book. Okay, you can find it on secondary market from time to time, or like I said, you can find the individual issues of the magazine. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 9 stockings in here, and I started a very long time ago, probably in 2007. The Toys and Games stocking, which is right there. And the idea was that I was going to stitch this for my nephew, and I started it when he was born, and he will turn 19 next month. So yeah, not for him anymore. But I do want to finish it. I enjoy working on it. Sarah Memphis E. finished this recently, so if you watch her, if you don't watch her, you should be, but if you do watch her, you've seen what the completed piece looks like. So I'm stitching this 2/2 on 28 count mushroom jobelin. Let me get this folded straight. And here's where I'm at. So I worked over here on the shelf with the train. I've still got all the back stitching to do on that. This is one of those pieces that the back stitching really, really brings it to life, so it's worth doing. So I'm sure this'll get some more work this year. I also, you know, another nice part of I have a list with notes for all of my WIPs, is that it'll be an easier reference for the prompts for things, for different challenges throughout the year. So hopefully I'll be able to pick these up more than just once or twice. Alright. And make sure I'm going in the right order here, so everything's kind of down here in bags. Next up is Charlotte by Mirabilia Designs. She's not brand new. I think her copyright is like 2016, but she was the kind of unofficial Stitchalong piece for the first Queen City Stitchers retreat in Charlotte, North Carolina. So I started her just before the retreat in October of 2023. I'm stitching her with the fold forward DMC 2/2 on a piece of 30 count hemp fabric from Jackson Design Studios on Etsy. I will link them down below. I believe now their fabric is more of a 28 count. It's really nice to stitch on, and it's this lovely green color, and I honestly don't remember what the name of the color is. And I'm looking to see if I can figure out which way is up on this. And I believe well, that can't be right. Hold on. Let me see. Okay. Yeah, so here we go. So here's where I'm at with her. And I've had numerous points of hesitation. When I look at her, I think her dress reads much darker than some of these really bright pinks that are in there. And when I started her at the retreat, I almost stopped. And thankfully Denise of Black Ribbon Stitch Studio kept talking to me and reminding me that, you know, I love Nora's designs and her color sense, and just to trust the process. So I continued. And the shocking vibrancy of those pinks is indeed calming itself down as I add the deeper colors in. So I'll be looking forward to working on her some more this year. And this next piece in 2022, I think, 2021. Debbie Rowley of Debbie's Designs did a monthly series of counted canvas charts, and you could get the canvas kit to stitch it with all the threads, and then the finishing kits and it was, I think the total cost was like $40. So I got all 12 of them. This particular one is called Ice Cream, as in you scream ice cream, we all scream for ice cream. And I didn't get a lot done, and it'll be hard to see because the border is white on white canvas. But here we go. Yeah, see, it's you can see a little bit of texture there around the edges. So I should really get working on this and put some more color in it so that you can see more. But these are great kits. Her stitch diagrams and everything are excellent, and the materials, you get full skeins or cards of all the fibers, and they're a lot of fun to work. They're only, the canvas itself is 8 by 8. I think the design's finished to something like 5.5 by 5.5, and she has a great tutorial on her website for finishing. And like I said, I got the finishing kits as well. You could get them with or without the finishing kits, and I chose to get the finishing kits. So they're great to pull out when you kind of have something that you want to be able to see easily, because the canvas holes are big, and there's not a lot of separating threads and that kind of thing. And to prove what a completely random order these are in, this next piece is Pretty Little Chicago, which I started in October of 2024, so it should probably be closer to the end. I started this on the day of the Chicago Marathon because Andrew, the runner stitcher, was running the marathon, and he put out a challenge and a hashtag for anyone who wanted to stitch while he was running, and I honestly forget what the hashtag was. And he said, challenged people to stitch 10 stitches for every mile he ran, so it worked out to be about 220 stitches. And here's where I am with this. So you can see, the colors are light, but you can see it's one of the elevated trains there on a bridge, and I'm working on the bridge. This is 2/2 on 16 count Stormy Clouds Ada. And I was really happy to start this. I've had this chart for a while. It's by Satsuma Street. And this gave me a really good reason to start it and get working on it. So I like this because Chicago is one of my favorite cities to visit, and I've done that quite a bit. I had a bunch of times I've had work trainings and meetings there, and it was always a great excuse to stay a little extra, go a little early, and enjoy the sights and activities there. So, and it's nice, the chart comes with a list of what the landmarks are that are in there, so if anybody's interested, if you're thinking about stitching it and you want to know what's included, definitely reach out, I'll let you know. And this is another start from October of 2024. This is Lovebirds by Autumn Lane Stitchery. And this was one of the stitch-along pieces for this year's Queen City Stitch Retreat, where Autumn Lane was the featured artist. There's almost a bit of a mess there. And I am stitching this 2/2 on a piece of 32 count Monet Lugana by Picture This Plus. And I'm using a sulky blendable 4110, and then I'm going to use DMC 550 for some of the other pieces. I'm not going to do it all in the variegated. I'm going to use some of the solid to kind of break it up a little bit. But that's where I was working on this at the retreat. I like the color combination, and I'm pleased with my progress. And I have another Autumn Lane Stitchery, which was another October 2024 start. And this one is Falling Leaves and Coffee, Please. So fall's my favorite season. Anybody who knows me loves how much I love my coffee. This is a nice round piece. And I'm using, what am I using? I'm using the DMC alternative colors, except for the areas that I forget what the Bestitch Me color was, but I'm using a Karen Collection Java. And so there's where I'm at. This piece has seen a lot of frogging. I'm doing it 1/1 on just a natural colored piece of 25 count even weave that I got at Hobby Lobby. I just was feeling the challenge of doing something 1/1, and the circle is not, and I don't mean this to be any kind of a criticism of Autumn Lane's projects at all. Their charts are very easy to read. They're fun to work on, and I love their color sense and style. There's something about this circle that I frogged, I think, 3 times during the retreat, and it's not entirely, the stitches are not entirely symmetrical all the way around, and I just, you see, so I put that horizontal line of stitching across, so I really need to go back and figure out where my issue is and what the problem is. I kind of just put it down and need to revisit it with fresh eyes. I'm not sure if it was being in the retreat room, you know, with all the distractions, and maybe I wasn't counting well. I'm also going to see if I can scan the chart and get it into Markup RXP, and maybe that'll help me too. So we're getting there, guys. Thanks for hanging in. So this is Summer Quaker by Leela Studios, and I'm sure you've seen this. Lots of folks are stitching it. And get away from the glare there. There you go. I started this on the first day of summer in 2023 with Laura from Stitching by the Shore and Beth from Steadfast Stitcher. There is a hashtag. I'll have to look it up and put it in the information down below if you're interested. And it's a lot of fun to stitch. I'm stitching mine on a piece of 16 count Ada in the color Latte by Fiber on a Whim. So the model was stitched on Latte, just in a, I think it was 36 count. So here's where I'm at. So I started on the inside because that water is full coverage. So this is pretty much the first page finish on the inside. And now I'm going to work over and do the next page. So I think there's a little bit that's on one page here and then a full page. So yeah, that's where I'm at. So this is a lot of fun to stitch on, and there's enough, you know, there's all the creatures in the sea, the fish, the mermaid, the whale. So that makes it fun to stitch on, and it also makes it an easy piece, like if you know you're going to be traveling or going to a retreat or something, it's easy to stitch the creatures and then be able to do the fill-in in the water around that. So just a thought if you're working on that. And if you watch Laura's Stitching by the Shore, she did a WIP Parade. She did she worked on this for one of her prompts, and she started around the outside. She did all the Quakers around the outside. She hasn't done the inside yet. So that's been fun to watch too. And this, I've got another recent start, and this is, I'm blaming Kelly from Pages and Stitches for this one. We started this November, excuse me, November 3rd, 2024. This is Miss Dancing Flower by Mirabilia, and I believe it's November 3rd. It's a holiday in Japan. It's Culture Day, and Kelly wanted to stitch. Kelly and Tammy from Cinnamon Stitches. They both love women in kimonos, geishas, Japanese culture. So they decided they were going to each start a geisha on that day, and they invited anybody who wanted to join in. I know Jennifer Bielman is doing Sakura by Autumn Lane Stitchery, and I thought about doing her. But Miss Dancing Flower is gorgeous. And I'm doing her as a mini Mira because I had finished my Inkberry Holly, and I was kind of feeling the urge to do another mini. And I'm using Orchid, 20 count Ada in the color Orchid by Oak Crown Studios, which is the company that Fiber Arts Amy has started. And this was one of the colors for the retreat, but I think it might be in her line now. So here's where I'm at. I only stitched on her for a couple days. Started right in the middle. I really like how those greens are looking on this color so far. And as always, and I know we all say this, but it is true, the modeling in the fabric is much starker in the camera than it is online. So I'll be using her as a focus piece quite a bit this year. I was fortunate enough to be able to get picked to go to Queen City Stitch Retreat, and I'd like to have her done for the brag table. So since she is a mini Mirabilia, I am using Petite Treasure Braid instead of beads. I could work on converting and sourcing size 15 seed beads, but I figured, and I know the beads would give a bit of a different texture than the metallics, but I like the sparkle from the Petite Treasure Braid, and it's a little bit easier to pick those than it is, and I'm sorry I keep bending down, I'm just trying to keep stuff semi-organized here. But it's easier for me to pick colors in the Petite Treasure Braid than working on the bead conversion. I want to make sure I'm not missing anything here. So next up, and I apologize for the picture of the cover on this. You've probably seen it, but my printer was running out of ink when I printed this. So this is Arabesque by Jan Hicks Creates, which is a really pretty, almost like an Art Nouveau, Art Deco style sampler. And as soon as I saw this, I pictured this. Jan shows it, despite my crappy printer picture, Jan shows it as a monochromatic sampler in red. But I saw this, I thought this would be fantastic in like a black and gold to kind of call back the Great Gatsby, that over-the-top kind of era. And I started this again with Laura from Stitching by the Shore and Beth, the Steadfast Stitcher. And we're all doing different colors. Laura's doing a red, Beth is doing a gorgeous blue colorway, and I'm doing mine in Silks for You PR070, which is a gorgeous jet black, with, and I'm using 2 strands of that over 2, and then I'm also using Petite Treasure Braid in the color PB01 is the gold that I chose. And here's where I'm at. So this top part, I've got most of one page finished, and then I drop down to the page below. So you can see there what I've been working on. It's fun, but I have to work on it when I'm in the mood to think about things, because of course it's charted monochromatically, and I have to think about where I want the gold to go and how much gold I want to put in. So it's a fun stitch. I'm definitely looking forward to getting back to this one again. I would think there's potential that this might even, if I put my mind to it, around Miss Dancing Flower, of course, but I might be able to work out a finish on this one. The letters themselves, there's a whole alphabet in there, the letters themselves go quickly. And the chart is, Jan Hicks charts are really, they're fun to work with. So, there is that. And that was number 25. So we've only got less than 10 to go. Sorry, my throat's getting really dry. Not used to talking quite so much. All right, last bag. Okay. All right, sorry about that, but I'm back. So, okay, this is Winter Quakers by Karen Kluba of Rose Manor, and here's the cover picture. So, and I started this in 2019, President's Day weekend. My best friend had ruptured her Achilles tendon. She had surgery to repair it, and I went down for President's Day weekend to help her out, and she had a good cousin who was helping her quite a bit and give her a break. So we had a good time. We hung out, we watched movies, we ran errands that she needed run, and I got to stitch. So, but then I promptly came home and put this down. So I'm using the called for dwarf cashel by Picture This Plus, and I think this might be one of the colors that they are not making anymore because of changes in the dyes. And I'm using the called for Valdani threads. So let's see if I can get this. Yeah, this is a little bigger. Alright, let me put this on my board because it's gotten to a point where it's a little bigger than I can show you folded up. So, and this is the right side. So that's where we're at. And this is fun. I love those little red cardinals. They're 1/1. And that big Quaker, felt like it took forever to stitch, but it was a lot of fun. So that's where I'm at. And hopefully this will see some progress this year. Sorry, my brain and my mouth disengaged there. So hopefully this will see some progress this year. I'll be able to pull it out for some prompts for some different challenges. That's my hope anyway. Because I have the other 4 seasons as well, fully kitted. So, but I've got enough other WIPs. I'd like to just work on one of these at a time. This is Blue Dreams by Barbara Anna. And I started this one with Laura. I'm not sure if Laura from Stitching by the Shore. I'm not sure if Beth started this one as well or not. This is my first Barbara Anna, but it definitely won't be my last. I've kind of gotten hooked by them, by her designs. And let me just find the cover chart here for you. I know you've seen this, because I'm sure you're watching Laura as well. Here it is. So here's what she's going to look like. Hey everybody, this is Future Paula. As I was putting together, going through my video and reviewing everything, I realized that the camera cut out partway through Blue Dreams and cut off the last 6 projects that I had left. So here we are, back again. And okay, everything's still down in this bag here. Wasn't quite as organized as I thought I was, but here we go. So if you remember, we were talking about Blue Dreams by Barbara Anna, and this is that. Just a review in case my editing doesn't work so well here. And here's where I'm at with her. And I have so like I said, I started this with Laura from Stitching by the Shore, and she stitched hers on a really cool, almost like sunset colored fabric, more of an orangey fabric, and her colors just sing on it. I'm using a 32 count terracotta Lugana. It's a standard color, and it is the called for or suggested color in the chart. And it's not as brown as it looks here. It's definitely got more of a pinky cast to it, almost a true terracotta color. But I wish I had a color more like Laura's. I really like the way her colors look, but I'm also very much enjoying how things look on this. So I'm happy that I had this piece in my stash. I didn't have to order it. It was a piece that was in my stash. And after, I'm double checking my notes here to make sure I'm not leaving anybody out. Okay, we're in the right order now. Next up is Elizabeth Isles by the Scarlet Letter. And I started this, not sure if I think it was 2022, maybe 2023. There it is. I started this as part of Laura's big birthday sal. Laura from Brenda and the Cereal Starter. And this was a big stitch along or start along. I'm not doing the verse down here. I'm just doing this really cool bird up in the top part. And I'll be able to adjust the border, I think, pretty easily to accommodate that. So I'm stitching this on another piece of the 30 count hemp fabric from Jackson Design Studio, and I know the color name for this is London Fog. This is the piece that caught my attention. So here's where I'm at. So I've got quite a good chunk done, and I've started with some of the carnations on the side. There's one, and then here's the other one. And this will actually come back out this month because this is one of the WIP Go calls for the month. So it should get 4 stitching sessions. So to me, 4 stitching sessions, it's not a set number of hours or stitches, just I'll touch it 4 times during the month. So it could be for an hour, an hour each time, or maybe I'm working on it during a weekend when I have a couple hours to sit and stitch. So that should have more progress, and you should be seeing her again soon. Next up is Sarah Mary Larkworthy, 1727 by Hands Across the Sea. And that's blowing that out pretty well. But if you can see, she's got a lot of satin stitching, stem stitching stems, some freestyle embroidery, which was what drew me to this, along with the colors. And I started this for my birthday in 2024. I'm stitching her on a piece of 36 count linen in the colorway Sienna by Tropical Stitches. I think she's got her own website now. I had found her on Etsy back in 2020, but I think she might have moved off of Etsy to a website. But let me show you the full piece. Here's where I'm at. I've gone all the way across on the top 2 rows. So it's an alphabet, some numbers, diagonal row. So this red row on the top is all eyelet stitches, and then these diamonds on the bottom are eyelet stitches, and the flowers are satin stitched. So when I pick her up again, I'll be working across with the eyelets. I enjoy eyelets. They're a lot of fun. Don't mind satin stitches. I'm really looking to get further down into the verse and those stem stitches and making those flower clusters. And it should be fun. So that is Sarah Mary Larkworthy. For some reason I have trouble saying that. I don't know if it's just tonight or not. And then my last 3 pieces, and please pardon the dog barking in the background. My husband must have gotten up and left the room that she was in. My last 3 pieces are pieces that the other 3 pieces that I didn't touch in 2024. And 2 of them I didn't touch because the WIP Go calls came up after the numbers that they were assigned to for my WIP Go board were after I kind of fell off the WIP Go process. But this one was called. This is Teresa Wensler's English Garden Sampler, and I'm sure you've seen it. It's been pretty popular. There it is. The picture I'm showing you is from the Festive Teresa Wensler Samplers book. I actually got this as a kit, so I'm using all of the kit materials. And here's where I'm at. I think I can do this without the board. So here's where I'm at with it, and I know exactly why I put off picking it up. So here's where we are, if you can see that there. So, and I'm in this fountain scene over here, and there is a ton of confetti, and it's, I don't remember, I'll be honest, I don't remember when I started this, and it's been difficult, it's always difficult to find my place and pick back up. So I really need to work on finding where I am and getting more done in that, because it's absolutely beautiful. I love it. And I want it done, and I want it on my wall. So time to put my big girl panties on again and get back to her. And then next is, this is a Stitchalongs Designs piece. This is, there's a French name for it. I can't say it, so I will give you the English translation, The King's Vegetable Garden. I bought this and started it when it was being released piece by piece as a mystery stitch-along. So I bought it when it was called Mystery 9 and started it then. And I've worked on it a bit since then, but this is another one where I keep the materials. It's kind of difficult to get to, and then I have to sit down and figure out exactly where I am. But here's, so I've got all but 2 of these triangle pieces finished, and then I can move on to the next. And they're similar but not identical, so it is kind of important to figure out which ones I'm on. So, and the other thing with this piece and the next one that you'll see is that I've had them on a scroll frame, and the way my stitching area, you know, where I stitch is now, I haven't had a good way to prop it up. You know, I sit in the living room and stitch with while my husband and I are watching TV, and I don't want to use this big wide scroll frame and you know, be poking him with it and whatnot. But he did get me a Lowry stand for Christmas, so I think it's going to be much easier to work on these pieces. I've tried it with my Nurge hoop and got it set up, and so now I just need to use it with something that's on a bigger, like a Q-snap or a frame. So I'm kind of excited about that, and it should make working on these bigger pieces easier. And then last but not least is another Teresa Wentzler. This is Peacock Tapestry, and this is another one I'm sure you've seen. It is a giant piece, and the original chart is hand-drawn. Both this one and English Garden Sampler are available on Patterns Online, and I do have both of those patterns, especially for this Peacock Tapestry. These leaves are notoriously, the leaves in the tree are notoriously full of confetti, and when I started I was working one leaf at a time and marking off and highlighting. So now I have, and the chart was difficult because it was a hand-drawn chart. That's just the way things were when this was released. So having the new chart with the computer-generated symbols that are a little bigger, a little easier on old eyes. And I am stitching this on 25 count Lugana in the color Potato. I'm not sure this color's made anymore, but there it is. Isn't that border absolutely gorgeous? I love the border, I love the colors in it, and you can see I started in the leaves on the pear tree just to give myself a break from border stitching. So really like to get back to this one. I've toyed with restarting this one over time, but I don't think I'm going to. I think I want to keep going, and I intentionally chose 25 count fabric. It's going to be stitched 2/2 with the called for DMC because I wanted it even bigger to have that kind of impact. And by the way, the chatelaine I'm stitching on the recommended, I think it's Lavender Bliss Lugana with all the called for materials. I bought the kit from European Cross Stitch when that was released. So that is all my WIPs. Like I said, out of 30, if I look at the total that I have right now, which is 32, having only 4 that have not been touched in the last 12 months is pretty good. I'm really happy with that. If you stuck with me for this long, this is definitely, you know, a video on the longer side. I tend to keep mine shorter. I appreciate that you stayed with me. I hope you saw things that you like. When it comes to what I call WIP Parade season, or this time of year, I really find that there's so much inspiration in seeing what everybody's working on. I can't you know, I don't have enough time to watch as many videos as I'd like per day, but definitely trying to keep up with that. So I'm going to sign off on this. Thank you again for watching. Welcome if you're new here, again, to repeat. Please leave me comments, like, subscribe if you're so inclined. But definitely, you know, leave me comments. I respond and enjoy hearing from you. Also, just a reminder, Hannah, the Okie Stitcher, and bear with me because we're about 3 hours later. Hilltop Stitching, definitely get in touch with me so I can get your mailing information and get those counting pin sets out to you. Like I said, next couple days I hope to get a video up with some plans talking about how I'm doing WIP Go this year, things I have in process, and some of the things that I'm really wanting to start this year. I don't know that I'm going to have a schedule for that, but just kind of pulling them together, having them available for when the urge to start something new is a little bit overwhelming. So I'm going to say that's all for now. See you soon. Love you.